I'm going to talk you through the solutions to the summer 2021 Cambridge IGCSE core questions. Okay, so in question 1 it says draw the line of symmetry on this shape. So this is a trapezium and this line is equal in length to this one, okay, and there's a pair of parallel sides, which means the line of symmetry just goes straight down the middle here. So when you draw this line of symmetry, make sure you draw it accurately. Okay, so in the right place. So do that by measuring just the top line, for example. So this is 4 centimeters long, this line. So halfway along this line would be 2 centimeters. Okay, so your line of symmetry has to go through that point there. Okay, so the line of symmetry cuts the shape in half so that this side is symmetrical to the other side. For question 2, it says write down all the factors of 42. So factors are just numbers that are multiplied together to equal 42. And I'm going to start with the factor 1, okay, because everything is divisible by 1. And to equal 42, you have to multiply the number 1 by 42. So 42 is also a factor. Okay, so there's a pair. 1 multiplied by 42 gives you 42. The next pair we can write down would be 2 multiplied by 21. Okay, because that's also equal to 42. The next pair could be 3 multiplied by 14. Okay, it's equal to 42. And if we consider the number 4, well, this is not a factor of 42. Okay, you can't divide 42 by 4 and get a whole number. Okay, so 4 is not a factor. 5 isn't a factor either, okay, because we can't divide 42 by 5 and get a whole number as a result. Okay, 6, however, is a factor. Okay, we can divide 42 by 6 to get 7. So there's the next pair. 6 multiplied by 7 is equal to 42. If I consider the next number, 7, well, I've already written this down, okay? So when that happens, you know you have written down all the factors 42, okay? And if you continue, you'll just be repeating the original factors. For question 3, it says P is a point on a line. Draw a line through point P that is perpendicular to this line. So perpendicular just means at 90 degrees. And it doesn't say using a compass in this question. So you can just draw the line on straight away. Okay, so you can just take a straight edge or a ruler and draw a line that goes through point P that makes an angle of 90 degrees. Okay, just here. Okay, so there's the line. For question 4, it says calculate the mean of these numbers. Okay, so here are the numbers. To work out the mean, you just need to add the numbers together and divide by however many numbers there are. Okay, so in this case, there are 5 numbers altogether. So you would add 253, 306, 185, 270 and 386, and then divide that by 5 to work out the mean, which should be 280. On question 5, it says the formula for changing a temperature measured in Celsius to Fahrenheit is F equals 9C over 5 plus 32. Use this formula to change 65 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay, so C is Celsius, okay, and we're told here that the temperature is 65 degrees Celsius. So all you have to do is change the letter C to the number 65 in the formula and then calculate it, okay? So instead of writing 9 multiplied by C, you would have 9 multiplied by 65. Remember, you have to divide this by 5 and afterwards add 32. So if you calculate that, you should get 149. So on question 6, part A, it says, without using a calculator, work out 9 plus 5 times 7 minus 4 divided by 2. You must show all your working. So for this calculation, you need to consider BIDMAS or BODMAS. Okay, remember these letters just tell you in which order you need to calculate. Okay, so B stands for brackets, which we don't have in this question. I stands for indices or powers, which we don't have either, followed by division, multiplication, addition and subtraction. So let's do the division first. Okay, so here, so 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. So then the calculation becomes 9 plus 5 multiplied by 7, take away 2. Next comes multiplication. So I'm going to work out 5 multiplied by 7, which is equal to 35. So the calculation becomes 9 plus 35, take away 2. And then we have addition and subtraction, and it doesn't really matter which way you calculate now. Okay, you'll get the same answer if you add these first or if you subtract these first. So 9 plus 35 is 44. And then if I subtract 2, I get 42. Okay, so there's the answer to part A. For part B, it says insert one pair of brackets into this statement to make it correct. Okay, so remember brackets come first, okay, in BidMaths in this calculation. So when we put the brackets in, it means you would calculate this part first and hopefully it will equal 96. So usually I would encourage my students to just try some brackets out, okay? So for example, if we were to put them around 9 plus 5, if they don't work here, then you would test out some other numbers, okay, putting the brackets elsewhere. So let's see what happens when we calculate this. Well, 9 plus 5 is 14. So the calculation becomes 14 times 7 minus 4 divided by 2. So if we consider BidMaths again, well, out of these calculations, multiplication, subtraction and division, we're going to do division first, okay, so here. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. Then the calculation becomes 14 times 7, take away 2. Next you would multiply, okay, because multiply comes before subtraction. So 14 multiplied by 7 gives you 98. So the calculation becomes 98 take away 2, which in fact gives us 96. So it worked. So we put the brackets in the correct place straight away, okay? So that is where the pair of brackets need to go in this statement. In question 7, we have 2 column vectors, A and B, and we have to work out A take away B. So column vector A is 5 minus 7, and we have to subtract column vector B, which is negative 2 over 6. So all you need to do is subtract the top 2 numbers. So 5 take away negative 2, which actually changes into plus 2 because a minus minus turns into a plus. So 5 plus 2 is 7. And then underneath you subtract these numbers. So minus 7 take away another 6 is equal to negative 13. So that's the answer. Okay, 7 on top, negative 13 underneath. So in question 8, it says write down the number that you, first of all, add to negative 4 to give an answer of 9. So let's just call this number x, okay? So we want to know what number, x, is added to negative 4 to give an answer of 9. Okay, so now we have an equation that we can solve to find x. So I need to work out the value of x, so I need to move this number over to the other side. When this negative 4 moves across the equal sign, it changes to a plus. So it becomes x equals 9 plus 4, okay? And 9 plus 4 is equal to 13. So that's the number that you have to add to negative 4 to give an answer of 9. In part B, it says write down the number, so we'll call this x again, that you subtract from negative 9 to give an answer of negative 4. So we're subtracting x from negative 9, so the order would look like this, okay? Negative 9, take away x because we're subtracting from. And that would give you an answer of negative 4. So you might be able to just spot what the answer is, okay? Alternatively, you can just solve the equation like in part A. So if I move the negative 9 over to the other side of the equation, it becomes a positive. So I'm left with negative x equals positive 9 take away 4, and 9 take away 4 is 5. So that means negative x is equal to 5, but we can't leave it like this. because this should be positive x. So if we change this negative x to a positive x, it means you have to change the sign of this number as well. So it becomes negative 5. So that is the number that you have to subtract from negative 9 to give an answer of negative 4. So in question 9, it says the bar chart shows the marks scored by a group of 55 students in an examination. Okay, so along here we have the number of students. Here in this bar, it represents the marks from 1 to 20. In the next bar, from 21 to 40, and so on. Okay. It says work out the percentage of this group of students who scored marks from 21 to 80. So 21 starts here and 80 finishes here. So to start with, you need to work out how many students scored 21 to 40 marks. Okay, so you need to look at the height of this bar, and you should be able to see that this bar is in line with 12 students. So 12 students scored between 21 and 40 marks. If we consider the next bar, so the students that scored 41 to 60 marks, this time the bar is in line with 15 students, okay? So 15 students scored this many marks. And for the third and final bar, 61 to 80 marks, the bar is in line with 18, okay? 15, 16, 17, 18 students. Okay, so 18 students scored between here and here. So we need to add these numbers of students together. So 12 plus 15 plus 18, which equals 45. So 45 students scored between 21 and 80 marks. Now we need to work out the percentage, okay, of this group of students who scored those marks. So you need to write down the number 45 and divide it by the total number of students, which we were given in the question, okay, because it says the bar chart shows the marks scored by a group of 55 students. So you always divide by the total number of students to work out the overall percentage. Then you need to turn this fraction into a percentage, so you multiply by 100, okay? So if you put that into the calculator, you should get 81.81 recurring, okay? So that's the percentage, okay, of students that scored between 21 and 80. So in question 10, it says the probability that Jane wins a game is 7/10. Find the probability that Jane does not win a game. So since the sum of probabilities is always equal to 1, to work out the probability that Jane does not win a game, you have to subtract this probability, okay, the probability that she wins a game, from the number 1. Okay, so 1 take away 7/10 is just 3/10. Okay, so that's the probability she does not win the game. Okay, so in question 11, it says calculate the fourth root of 0.0256. So you should use your calculator on a question like this. On my calculator, to find the fourth root, you need to use this button here. So you have to press Shift followed by the X to the power button, and then you can type in the number 4 here to show that it's the fourth root. And then inside the square root or the root symbol, you can type in 0.0256. Okay, so when you work that out, you get 2/5, or if you prefer to write it as a decimal, 0.4. So in question 12, it says Emma has 15 mathematics questions to complete. The stem and leaf diagram shows the time in minutes it takes her to complete each question. And here we have the key. So 2/0 is equal to 20 minutes. Okay, so for this question here, she takes 20 minutes to complete it. And for this one, for example, she would take 3 minutes. If we were to look at this one here, it would mean 16 minutes, okay? So here we have to complete the table. And to start with, we have to find the mode. Now, the mode is the most frequent. So the most frequent, I can see, should be here, okay? Because the number 6 in this row is repeated 3 times, and there's no other number that's repeated here 3 or more times, likewise here. So this number represents 16 and 16, so the mode is 16 minutes, okay? So she spent 16 minutes on 3 questions. For the next one, the median. this is the middle value. And because she completed 15 questions, to find the middle of 15, you can use this formula n plus 1 over 2. So n is the number of questions, in this case 15. So 15 plus 1 divided by 2 is 16 divided by 2, which is 8. So we're looking to find the 8th question to see how long it took her to complete it. So I'm just going to count from the start, because these numbers, they're already in order from smallest to largest, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so this is the 8th question, and this number here represents 11 minutes. Okay, so she spent 11 minutes on the 8th question. For the last one, the range. Well, the range is the highest value minus the lowest value. The highest value being 20 minutes, and the lowest value here being 3 minutes. So 20 take away 3 is 17, so that is the range. In question 13, it says complete these statements, and the first one says the reciprocal of 0.2 is something. Okay, so we have to find the reciprocal of this number. So to do that, you just divide the number 1 by this number. So 1 divided by 0.2, if you put that in the calculator, you should get 5. Okay, so that is the reciprocal of 0.2. Okay, you should find that if you multiply a number by its reciprocal, it should equal the number 1, always. Okay, so that's a good check when you're working out the reciprocal. For the next one, a prime number between 90 and 100 is. So a prime number is a number that only has 2 factors, exactly 2 factors. So if I just write out the numbers between 90 and 100, we can automatically cross out all the even numbers. Okay, because these numbers we know have more than 2 factors, because if we take the first one, 90, 1 times 90 is 90, so 1 and 90 are factors, and 2 multiplied by 45 is also 90. Okay, so we know there are more than 2 factors. Okay, likewise for the number 100, 1 times 100 is 100, and 2 multiplied by 50 is also 100. Okay, so all of these even numbers are divisible by 2, which means there are more than 2 factors. The only even prime number is 2. Okay, that's quite useful to remember. Next, let's look at the other numbers. Well, 95 is in the 5 times table, so I know that 5 is going to be a factor. Okay, so 1, 95 and 5 are all factors, so again there are more than 2 factors, so that one can't be prime. I also recognize this number from the 11 times table. Okay, 9 times 11 is 99, so 9 and 11 are factors of 99, as well as 1 and 99, so that one cannot be prime either. I can see that this number here is divisible by 3. Okay, if I add 9 and 3 together, I get 12. And because 12 is divisible by 3, so is this number 93. Okay, so that one isn't prime. So I'm just left with these 2, okay? And I don't recognize them from any times tables, but I better do just a little quick check, okay, to see if this number is divisible by anything other than 1 and itself, to make sure it's prime. Okay, so I know it's not divisible by 2 because it's an odd number. I know it's not divisible by 3 because if I add these together I get 10, and 10 is not divisible by 3. It's odd, so it can't be divisible by 4 either. It's not divisible by 5 because it doesn't end in a 0 or a 5. I'm just going to start checking now. Is this divisible by 6? No, because I don't get a whole number when I divide by 6. Is it divisible by 7? Okay, it is divisible by 7, which means 7 times 13 is equal to 91. So 7 and 13 are factors of 91, as well as 1 and 91. So by process of elimination, there's only one left, 97, okay? So that is the prime number between 90 and 100. For part B, it says from this list, write down an irrational number. So an irrational number, we can't write it as a fraction. Well, this one is already written as a fraction, so I know it's not irrational. I can write 8 over 1, which is a fraction, so this is not irrational. If I put 0.6 in the calculator, it writes it as 3/5. So this is a fraction, so it's not irrational. The square root of 9 is equal to 3, and I can write the number 3 over 1, so that's a fraction, so this is not irrational. So this is the irrational number. A good way of remembering irrational numbers, you can find an irrational number by square rooting any number that's not a square number. So 9 is a square number, which is why this is not irrational, okay? But this is an irrational number. Another useful one to remember could be pi, okay? If you put pi in the calculator and press the SD button, it writes it as this long decimal, okay? And these numbers keep going on to infinity, okay? After the decimal point, we can't write this number as a fraction, okay? So that is also an irrational number. For question 14, it says find the value of x when 7 to the power of x divided by 7 to the power of 4 is equal to 7 to the power of 9. Now, the rules of indices state that when we're dividing two numbers that are the same, we have to subtract their powers to equal the new power. So x take away 4 has to equal 9. So if I want to solve this equation and find the value of x, I just need to move this negative 4 over to the other side, so it changes to a positive. So 9 plus 4 is equal to 13.